Justin Trudeau, like him or love him, um, Canadians certainly seem to have a wild opinion, but it is one that is very, very much so changed over the past couple of years. Obviously elected way back in 2013, Justin Trudeau is, I think, the grandson of one of like Canada's most popular prime ministers. And of course, he rode that wave back into 2013 and for the longest time had enjoyed very, very, very big amounts of support, at least from what we can see again from here, from the Canadian public. So now, really, for the past couple of years, there's been an anti-Trudeau movement. His party has become more and more encumbered by trouble. However, he did at one point where it did look like his party was going to fall apart. He did a deal with another party which kept him in power, and that was, I've said before, I think one of the best plays that I have ever seen by a progressive politician, knowing full well that they had an opportunity and they took it. They got lots of stuff and progressive stuff passed in Canada that way. And I will, say that that was fantastic what they did. That is the type of stuff and, cooperation and good politics you want to see more of, especially from our side. However, doesn't unfortunately work that way sometimes, but there you go. But now, of course, we have some different things happening, of course, over in Canada. Justin Trudeau's popularity has reached probably a absolute trench, with now people saying that today, or on at least today on Monday, he could very well resign. And there are three of Canada's newspapers saying that they have sources, citing sources that are saying Justin Trudeau could resign. So we're going to have a look into this and talk about what could happen, because it could potentially maybe spark an election in Canada. You're looking at maybe possibilities, whoever the guy who comes in replaces Justin Trudeau can't actually get anything done, maybe for the next couple of months, and then he has to call a general election further down the line. Like I say, Canada at the moment, somewhat stable. Of course, you have the big problem, of course, with Donald Trump. He certainly has a big beef with Canada, especially claiming that they're not securing the border. You've seen the tariff threats that he's put against Canada as well. And of course, saying, well, we want to make you the 51st state. To which I think the vast majority of Canadians would go, no, we don't want that. Thank you. So, as always, before we do go having a look at this, because the rise and fall of Justin Trudeau is a very somewhat interesting one for Canada. But before we do go looking at that, please remember to click the like, the share button. There's the Patreon page down below. There's the Buy Me Coffee link where you can buy me coffee. There's the YouTube thank you button. And of course, there's the Pony Club down below as well. So let's crack on then to have a look into this. Canadian MP Justin Trudeau could resign as early as Monday, reports say. So Justin Trudeau can now announce his resignation as early as Monday. Two leading Canadian newspapers have now reported, with now a snowballing leadership crisis that has caused the Prime Minister to lose support now within his party. The Globe and Mail newspaper cited over three sources saying that Trudeau would quit as head of the ruling Liberal Party after nearly a decade in office. It said that one of the sources had really spoken to the Prime Minister and believed that he intended to step down before the emergency meeting of party members on Wednesday, saying, so it doesn't look like he was forced out by his own MPs. Possibly. You can see that. I can see that happening, more, shall we say, being suited to jump rather than go. This isn't a Boris Johnson situation where everyone was like going in and saying, yeah, you need to go, but I'm quitting, bye, because he couldn't form a government. Better to go out, on your own terms than be forced out by your own MPs sometimes. That certainly seems to be the case and could be what happens. So Justin Trudeau, maybe by the time this video goes out, he's resigned. Maybe he could be about to resign. Who knows? But on Wednesday, things could get interesting in Canada, that's for sure, if they decide they want to push him out. The Toronto Star also confirmed that Trudeau was now expected to signal his intentions to step aside as early as Monday, citing what it said was now a senior source. Trudeau's popularity has, of course, plummeted amid now record inflation, again, acute housing crisis, high food prices, and voter fatigue now with incumbent politicians. Wow. Just, the crises that are affecting every single other country around the world. It's the same story being constantly repeated. Recent polling, of course, puts the Liberals just as at 16% support, their worst pre-election standing in more than over a century, with the opposition Conservatives now coming out on top. At the end of October, after over 2 dozen backbench Liberal MPs signed a letter calling on Trudeau to step down, with the party now fearing a very seismic electoral defeat in the federal elections scheduled for next year. And bear in mind, that election maybe could come sooner rather than later. If you're Justin Trudeau's replacement, do not do what Rishi Sunak did and hold on like for a year. Go into your leadership election, say, I've got a plan. This is what we are going to do. Run on that. And then once you win, go immediately into a general election where you've got that buzz, you've got that, oomph behind you. Do not do what Rishi Sunak did, because I think if you become leader of your party at that moment, you will find it incredibly difficult to rule for the rest of what will be your term. And having elections sooner rather than later may be the best idea. But we'll see what happens in Canada. Anyway, these political horizons, of course, very much darkened now in mid-December, with the shock resignation now of his deputy, Chrystia Freeland, who left with very stern words for the Prime Minister, questioning now his ability to now guide Canada through Donald Trump's America First economic nationalism, including now the threat of 25% tariffs on Canada. And yeah, as she said, we need to take that threat extremely seriously, she said. In now a departing letter which questioned whether the government actually understood the gravity of the moment. And yeah, if you were, Canada's Prime Minister, you've had Trump saying all this, you don't know whether he's actually going to be serious about those tariffs or not. You need to take it seriously. And bear in mind, I don't think the Conservatives would take that threat seriously either. I'd be thinking, oh, well, don't worry, we're Conservatives, we're, natural allies of Donald Trump. No, I think Donald Trump would basically say, no, you're going to do what I say, or if you don't, I put those 25% tariffs on you. So don't think if you're a Canadian Conservative hoping finally we'll be able to get some Conservative rule back in. Yeah, Donald Trump may have other ideas, of course. Freeman, of course, now a former Financial Times reporter, and previously wrote praise for navigating the North American Free Trade Agreement renegotiation process during Trump's first term. The resignation now of this key ally sent Ottawa now into chaos, and the fallout has now seen the smaller New Democratic Party, which has kept the Liberals in power, pulling its support for the Prime Minister. So even the Liberals, as I said before, they have seen the writing on the wall. Yeah, we can't continue to support this party, because eventually it damages their own party. So Trudeau, of course, then attempted to now placate the incoming US president with a visit to Florida, where he posed for a smiling photo. He told Canadian Broadcasting Corporation that he promised Trump that Canada would, of course, shore up border security. Still, days later, Trump publicly mocked Trudeau, belittling him as a governor of Canada, as his country was nearly just a merely US state rather than an independent nation, amusing that it could become part of the US. As he said, there you go. Many Conservatives, of course, now expect the election to be called at least in spring. It's still unclear whether Trudeau would, of course, stay on as Prime Minister until the new Liberal leader is elected. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, potentially elections happening a lot earlier than expected in Canada. Again, not a Canadian. Don't keep too much pulse on Canadian politics, but overall, from what we can see, Justin Trudeau has been in power for a very long time. And it happens to a lot of leaders. They tend to run out of steam sometimes. I don't really know if that's seemed to have happened, maybe to Justin Trudeau. I think the fact that, again, he is having to face what every single other country is having to face, unpopular incumbency, rising inflation, housing crisis, you name it, pretty much same problem being beset by a lot of governments all over the world. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in Canada, but yeah, possibly an early election for the Canadians. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.